Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Excessive Pop Culture Discussion. This is our unscripted weekly chat show where we talk about all the headlines that have nothing to do with politics or the president, which I think have been pretty quiet lately anyway, so we wouldn't have to cover. I'm your host, Daniel O'Brien. This is my co-host, Maggie Mayfish.
Hi.
Oh, Maggie.
Already being her classic, very normal self. And Soren Bowie has joined us again.
Hey, not a host, not really in anything. Just a warm body in the chair.
Yep.
We do need one.
Yeah. We're incredibly cold people.
Yeah. Cold-blooded.
We're going to talk about Star Wars and Disney and Frasier and Mark Wahlberg probably. But let's get right into it with the weekend headlines. We have an actual thing that plays there.
I hope it's good. I will watch the show at some point, I promise.
I briefly wanted to talk about Frasier. This is sort of a selfish thing. Like, Frasier made headlines today. Frasier, the show Frasier, made headlines today because someone at NBC is talking about doing a Frasier revival. It's the same guy who's orchestrated this. It's Greenblatt who orchestrated the Will and Grace revival. Is very interested in doing Frasier and a 30 Rock revival, actually. But he doesn't think the Frasier thing is going to happen. And that's the end of that story.
Wait,
I only bring it up because I wanted to talk about this other Frasier. I've been down like a deep dive into Frasier lately. So Kelsey Grammer, who plays Frasier on Frasier.
The show Frasier?
When he was 13 years old, his father was shot and murdered by a psychopath. And a few years later, his sister was attacked and murdered. And then shortly after that, his two stepbrothers were killed in an apparent shark attack.
Yeah. I think his sister was kidnapped and murdered.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the co-creator of Frasier and his wife were in the plane that crashed into the two towers in 9/11. So he's just this man who is like attacked on all sides by massive tragedy. And it's really weird to me that all this happened to him and he could still be a funny person on television. And also, a thing that I can't understand.
Yeah.
The last name of the man who murdered Frasier's father is Niles.
Dun, dun, dun.
And I don't know
see your response to that.
who on this show thought it was a good idea to be like, Frasier, you don't have a lot of friends, but there's one person you love, and we're going to make you say, like, I love you, Niles. Thanks for coming, Niles. While you're both, like, sharing the burden of your father, who was shot in this show.
It's like it's almost sitcom-esque. It's like if you had a sitcom about Martha Todd. Is that Lincoln's wife?
Mary Todd.
Yeah.
Mary Todd.
Martha Washington, Mary Todd.
And just like putting her in scenarios where she constantly has to say the word booth, like is working in like a kissing booth, and now
You work at a pizza restaurant.
Right.
You have to tell people where to sit.
yeah,
You only have.
and she just has to constantly. It comes up over and over and over for her.
I don't know if this is some kind of immersion therapy for him. That his doctor, the one who listens to Frasier, was like, you just gotta surround yourself with Niles. Just really live in the Niles.
That's horrible advice. That's crazy. You wanted to talk about death and murder?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's this is.
Try walking in Niles in his shoes.
Yeah. This show is quickly becoming like a Ring situation for me, where I find something like that I get obsessed with, like that nut case that we talked about a few weeks ago, and I swim in it for a little while, and then I'm like, here you go, the people. Now you live with this. Now you must know this, and try to connect the dots to see if it means anything.
I don't think I've ever told you this story. Do you know the song? You know the tossed salad and scrambled egg song?
Yes.
That plays during Frasier. How that song was written?
No.
Okay, so they went to a guy who was a composer and asked him to come up with like a song for the show. And like, we don't want it to be too related to what he's actually doing. It can be kind of weird. And so he gave him this song. And they were like, perfect. It makes no sense. It's awesome. I think it's I Hear the Blues Are Calling, Tossed Salad and Scrambled Eggs. And then to hear him describe it, you will hate this song. Because he thinks
The composer?
The composer thinks it's perfectly correlated with the show. So I Hear the Blues Are Calling. He works in a radio show, and the blues, like people with problems, are calling in. Tossed salads and scrambled eggs are the types of people he has to deal with, like crazy people. And he thinks tossed salad and scrambled eggs are two different synonyms for crazy.
He thinks.
Yes, he's a nut.
What?
And what is a boy to do? there's a whole section of the song, like I can't remember the lyrics.
Maybe I
after
seem a
that.
bit confused. Well, maybe. But
I got you pegged. Oh,
Yeah.
I may be a bit confused because he's got his own problems, but he can still diagnose people on the radio. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. You will hate the song. And now it plays at the end of every episode. And I used to love it because it's Kelsey Grammer singing it. It's weird.
Yeah.
And now I'm just like, oh, fuck this.
It provides some of the funniest moments in that show. It's almost like the smash cut to the title card in Always Sunny in Philadelphia in its timing. And I don't know if they did it on purpose because it's like it's a sitcom, it needs to be a certain length. But there are a lot of episodes in the first season where a thing just won't get resolved. Like there's a brief subplot where Daphne Moon goes on a date with Bulldog.
Yeah.
And he gets arrested or beat up or something like that. And you think that it's not Seinfeld where everything gets tied up together. Like they just pivot to another story and Frasier and Niles are sitting in a restaurant and they're like, man, we really let Dad down today. He really took us to task. Hey, baby, I hear them. Just really good.
They were not afraid to just end an episode.
Yeah.
When they're like, oh, time's up. We can all go home.
All
So they're-
right.
Oh, we never resolved this thing with Martin. We got 22 minutes. Oh. All right, great.
Yeah. They did an episode where Niles and Frasier bought a restaurant together, like just like the nicest restaurant in Seattle. And by the end of it, they have burned most of it down, and that's the end of the episode. Like they learn a lesson about how they should be better as brothers and more communicative with one another, and that's the lesson. Like we never hear about this restaurant ever again that they own now and is in ruins.
That's so fantastic. I never thought we would talk about this much. My card just says Frasier, and that's it. But Maggie, you've been pretty quiet on the Frasier front, so I bet there's something you actually want to talk about.
Well, I mean, I've seen Frasier here and there. But yeah, so the thing that I want to talk about is Jennifer Lawrence recently came out and said the movie Passengers. The critics did not like it. Most of them said it was really creepy, how a guy kind of like picked her, woke her up from her sleep, and she
Lied to her.
Yeah, lied to her.
They're on a journey that will take an impossible amount of time.
Servants in cryo sleep.
His pod malfunctions, so he is out, and he goes crazy for a little while and like stares at this sleeping woman, and then just decides,
Well, you die.
I'm gonna wake her up, lie to her, and say that her thing malfunctioned as well, and then we're gonna have a life together.
Right.
And
it's a love story.
It's kidnapping, basically. Kidnapping somebody
Yeah.
from sleep.
Right.
Right.
And like condemning them to die also. Like,
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
have to die in space with me because we're not going to make the journey.
Exactly. Over a
And-
fun date with
Yeah.
a semi-attractive man.
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyways, critics had said those complaints, and Jennifer Lawrence recently said in an interview that she now sees that the movie was problematic and wished that she had noticed it while they were filming. And if she had noticed it, she would have changed it and said that the lady wakes up first. She goes crazy, then wakes up the attractive man, so it's less.
It's not better.
Yeah, it's not better.
It's definitely not better. And
It's
like
not better.
the thing that the movie did is she finds out because Martin Sheen robot tells her that Chris Pratt did this to her, and she gets really mad and she goes really crazy and hates him for it, and they get into a big fight. She's like, I never want to see you again. And then they forget about that because the ship starts to blow up.
Yeah.
And so she, him, and now the recently resurrected Lawrence Fishburne put the ship back together. Lawrence Fishburne dies of space poison. And then Chris Pratt is like, by the way...
Another young black
Yeah.
man taken before his time
I
by
know.
space poison.
When will it stop?
And then Chris Pratt was like, I saved the ship and like we reconnected a little bit, but I built a new pod for you so you can have cryo sleep and I'll just die.
Yeah.
Like only one of us can do this and it should be you. And then we decide by the end of the movie that we learn that she decided not to and they live together. Like she falls in love with her captor and they live together and make a nice little home and then leave a note for Captain Andy Garcia, who, surprise, was in this movie. Doesn't say a word, just shows up at the end with a wacky beard and is like, they built a tree in our spaceship.
That'd be weird to wake up to.
Yeah.
Which is that's very similar to the plot of Pompeii.
Oh,
All
really?
right. We'll just cool it.
Is this all just been a way for you to work to Pompeii?
So my one card says Pompeii. Like, we're gonna talk about that.
Put down your fake card.
Yeah, that's
It's-
a bummer that she came out and said, no, I realize it's bad now. What it should have been is this other really
Yeah.
terrible thing.
And
Well,
it was still not great. And yeah, it's kind of like the revisionist history of that history of actors coming out
Yeah.
and like start like trying to buddy up with the critics, saying like, "Oh yeah, I also agree with the thing that you said about the movie."
Specifically with Passengers, and this is a thing that will get me in trouble, but I'm of split mind of it. When I look at the sequence of events, I'm like, yeah, that's Stockholm syndrome. That's someone falling in love with their captor/rapist. That's bad. That's like a psychological. That's a problem. There's the other part of me that says the movie is in charge of this universe. The movie decides what is real, and this movie is trying to tell us that these two people are actually in love. Love is a magic thing. It happens to have been shared by these people, regardless of circumstances. If he hadn't woken her up, if they were both still on Earth, love would have made them come together, and like true love is the most powerful thing of all. Like I'm usually pretty, as much as we tear everything apart on the site, I tend to, in my own movie watching, is like, according to this movie, it's not a problem.
Right, those are the rules of that universe. It's fine.
Right, and and the person that wrote it, it was one of the most sought after scripts for a very long time in Hollywood. It was like on the top blacklist for ever, and I'm 100% certain that was the intent of the script. That just like when it played out, people were like, "Oh, wait a minute."
Well, yeah, you introduce it then into our universe with our rules.
Right.
And you can't help but try and trace them over one another and be like, "Oh, well, this doesn't fit at all." And I'm sympathetic to her in that circumstance where she got into a movie that she didn't realize was super problematic, because there have been several times where I've found myself in that sort of circumstance where like I've even written something and like brought it into the team during like the pitch room, and people are like, "Yeah, this is good. You know, this part's really sexist though, right?" And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, that is. Wow."
Right. And you're not allowed to say, no, it's not. Because I'm not. I checked with myself, and I'm not. So.
No, I checked in. I kind of am still. Like, I'm really working on it, and I'm trying to be better, but...
You're right, I'm kind of sexist, but I'll die in like 60 years, man, and then there'll be no more sexist.
I'll be innocuous till then. Like, you don't have to worry about me.
Just don't actively worry.
But the reason that you did bring this up is Frasier. It's wanted to talk about writers, directors, stars, producers coming out after a movie has come out and said, "Yeah, this is bad. I apologize for it." And if we think they should be allowed to do that, or
yeah, I think for me, I like it. I like when actors do that and directors, because I think it's honest. I think it's more annoying for them to try to play it off like the song guy making a song about eggs and salad and trying to come back and trying to prove that it was great or like phenomenal filmmaking.
Like the song guy. You hear that song guy, your legacy is garbage. No one remembers you.
Yeah, I hope he feels really offended by what I just said. But yeah, I like it. It's honest, especially for actors, because I mean, they honestly have the least amount of control over any of this.
There's tremendous amount of faith in being an actor that like so you will be presented in a good light, and that
and they hardly get to choose their projects. A lot of times they're shoved in by like hundreds of other people. They really don't have a lot to say. So yeah.
See, I in general don't like it. And specifically don't like actors doing it. I'm opposite of you. In general, I don't like it, and I think it just stems from being like a company man at heart, which is what I am. Like you signed on this thing to do a job, and someone else paid you to do it, and you work for them, and part of your contract is not saying bad things about it, and you will experience. You're most famous actress in the world right now, Jennifer Lawrence. You will experience no repercussions for this. But even if you weren't the most famous, like. You got paid to do a job, and you're not blowing the whistle on them. You're not like trying to shut down production. It's after the fact, and you're like, "Yeah, that was that was and I'm better." And like I've had bad jobs that I wouldn't like. I don't tell people at the restaurants that I'm working at that like the boss sucks or that the food isn't great, and like I won't publicly speak ill of this amazing website for the rest of my life, no matter what happens, because it's. You know, it's the job that I signed on to do, and it's like, I don't know, I put it too much with like, someone will reveal why this is some latent mental problem that I have, but I equate it like family. Like I'm gonna get in a fight with my family, but I'm not gonna go out and like talk my dad to someone no matter what happens, because like family's family, work is also family.
I don't agree with you. That work is family. Like I agree with Maggie that I appreciate it when they're honest about it just didn't work out. Like we tried to make this thing and it's not good, and sometimes they're just not great.
Yeah.
And I don't think that because that's not like a career job to them. That's a one-off freelance job basically, as far as most of those people are concerned. And the fact that I guess if it's in their contract, obviously, you cannot talk bad about this when you're at the junkets and stuff, then I understand. But if they're just being honest about a film that they tried to make. Yeah. It just didn't go their way, and now they want to give you like the honest take on it. I appreciate that way more because then you can you'll listen to what somebody has to say. You'll listen to what that director has to say or that actor has to say about films that they're in after that point. Right. Otherwise, it's just noise. It's like every football player after the end of a game when they're like, it wasn't really me, it was the team. And it was like, no, David Johnson, you scored 6 touchdowns by yourself. We all saw it.
And you don't think it's worse when actors do it? Because like Jennifer Lawrence can make a problematic movie and still be fine.
Yeah.
And now she's a famous, untouchable person who's like, yeah, the movie was bad, and who knows if that director's gonna get to work again, or the writer.
It is a bummer that they can do that.
No, you signed on to this movie because you agreed with it, and no one's going to. Entertainment Weekly's not going to come to me now and put me on TV and be like, Jennifer Lawrence said your movie's bad. Would you like to defend yourself now? He doesn't have that opportunity.
That's true. Katherine Heigl did a lot of that too, where after she would do something, she'd be like, no, it was problematic from the start. I don't like it.
Well, I think there's 2 ways to do it. There's one where actors are doing it for attention and like drag their feet about stuff and like won't show up to their press junkets, and that is super annoying because they're just doing it for attention. But I also think there's like the honest thing of like, look, I'm an artist. I did some work and it did not turn out how I liked.
I'm just not proud. Yeah, I guess what I would prefer is maybe something closer to what Dan said, to take ownership over it, to be like, you don't talk about that the movie is you could be like, I wasn't that great in this. I didn't feel like I did I didn't feel like I did it.
Yourself. I wasn't great. Turn it on you.
Yeah.
Self-reflection. I agree with that.
You found a bunch of other quotes from actors and people who were unhappy about the movies that they did. I think my favorite, it's the only one I wrote down.
It's Frasier?
It's Frasier. It's he hated Frasier. Didn't know why he did it for 11 years.
That's so sad.
Oh, what if he did? Oh, that would crush.
It's Mark Wahlberg from The Happening. The quote they have is, "F***ing trees, man, the plants. F*** it. You can't blame me for wanting to try to play a science teacher. At least I wasn't playing a cop or a crook." It's so... He took that movie because he got to play a science teacher and just wanted to try what that was like, and it's so adorable.
I love it.
The only thing I'm pissed is that he didn't say, I wanted to branch out. That would have been just perfect.
This is not the man for that job.
Yeah. I also don't know if I believe that he didn't like that script. Because I feel like I would have liked that script if I had just read it and not like fully processed, trees are killing us. This is silly.
That's so funny that he also spoils it in the quote.
F*** trees, man. The plants.
So we do have some other ones if we want to take a look. Okay, so Channing Tatum said about G.I. Joe, The Rise of the Cobra, he said, look, I'll be honest, I hate that movie. I hate that movie. I was pushed into doing that movie.
Somebody pushed him onto set. Just go.
Yeah, go. I don't know.
You're in front of the camera now, dude. You're locked in.
Just say the lines. This one surprised me. Paul Newman, The Silver Chalice, which I haven't seen. He said it was the worst motion picture produced in the 1950s. Oof. Which is rough, because there's a lot of movies from the 1950s.
And it's certainly some of them suck.
That's a decade. That's not even a specific year. That's an entire 10-year stretch. That's rough. Paul Newman.
He's really hard on
himself. Beautiful, amazing man.
He is beautiful. Mark Wahlberg, Ben Affleck said about, I've never been able to pronounce this movie, Geely.
Geely?
Geely.
I think it's Jenny from the Block. Is what it's called.
Throw some confidence behind it.
Geely.
That doesn't mean faster.
Nuts. Geely. Geely. Ben Affleck in the film Geely said, people bring up 2003, and I get it. I love that one. So honest. And then Charlize Theron said about Reindeer Games, Reindeer Games was not a good movie.
Oh, I like Reindeer Games. She's wrong.
She is South
British?
African.
You want to do it?
Yeah. How do your weapons work?
Okay, perfect.
How do your weapons work? Me?
Great. Yeah, that's what I got.
I'll get some notes about that.
Needlessly pulled out a British accent for Charlize Theron.
Isn't she? Oh, she's South African.
She's South African, yeah.
It's
actually
right.
Theron, but she changed it because
'Cause
Her
we're dumb
agent was
Americans.
like, no one's gonna be able to pronounce that.
Maggie, I'm bored.
Soren,
talk about space?
did you have a pop culture thing you wanted to talk about? Soren?
Yeah, super pop culture-ish. I don't know, all the kids are talking about an eclipse that's coming up. So there's going to be an eclipse. They're calling it the Great American Eclipse because it's making a big diagonal cross across the United States. And
Oregon to South Carolina.
yeah, and you're going to be able to see, it's a full eclipse. And we've had eclipses in our lifetime. They happen about every 18 months. There is a full eclipse somewhere on Earth, but usually it's over some ocean or some part of the Earth that's not inhabited. But occasionally it is, and right now it happens to be over us, and people are going nuts for this thing. Like, there are people, shadow chasers is what they're called, and these people follow these things
That's
everywhere.
what they've decided they're called.
It is, yeah.
That's what they should be called.
That's in their ideal world. We're the shadow chasers.
Right.
All right, moon idiot.
Right. And these people are bizarre. Like, this is a religious experience to them. They talk about how when they go there, people are trembling during it, and some people will just openly weep when they see it. I guess with the full eclipse, it all gets very, very dark immediately. Everything gets very quiet. The wind picks up because the temperature changes so quick, and it does feel like an apocalyptic scenario for a little bit, and it's very unnerving. But it's just an eclipse. Like, we know what it is now.
Yeah.
But here are the things, like, tangibly, here are the craziest things that are happening because of it. In Oregon, where it's crossing over, they've called the National Guard already because they're expecting over 1 million people to flood into Oregon during this time. 1 million new people in Oregon.
Wait, the shadow hunters are expecting 1 million people?
No.
No,
This
Oregon.
is
Oregon?
Oregon itself. Yeah. Here, and there are all these like little residual things that you wouldn't even think about, like that the Oregon Liquor Control Commission, they're in charge of alcohol but also marijuana. They've warned Oregon months in advance that they're like, you need a lot more weed because you're gonna run
love
out.
that
This
this
is like
is a
condoms in the
concern.
Olympic Village. Like,
Yeah.
they're gonna have a shortage because so many people are buying weed right now in Oregon and a couple other places. I mean, a lot of places that it's going over are very red, I would say, red states that in which I think they still think of marijuana as
The devil's food?
it's a it's a gateway drug and they won't
That was
touch
food
it.
cake.
But there's like Athens, Georgia on one end and Oregon at the other, and both those places I think are just like they're out of weed.
Yeah.
Everybody has bought weed there, and
Those poor people.
Yeah.
these millions
Somebody
of
help
people.
them.
Right, because these are people like, for me, I hear about this eclipse 3 days ago. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And I'm not super invested in how often that happens or how rare this is. But there are people, these people that we're talking about, like, this is an event for them that they have saved money for years. Like, there are people, because there are festivals that are having events around this and like millions of dollars in tickets to sit in a field in Oregon and just like camp and watch for 3 days. These are people who, like, I'm not taking a trip for the next 10 years because I'm saving my time and money for this moment. And like, I never want to make fun of anyone for being passionate about a thing.
Yeah, but you can expect that with that sort of group that has those sort of strange tastes,
Right.
that there are some weirdos within that group. So on
yeah.
Craigslist.
I was just about to bring this up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Would you like me to
Yeah,
bring it up?
tell 'em how.
Okay, so on Craigslist, a man was seeking a woman to let him impregnate her during the eclipse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a
In a
big.
very flowery
I
language.
rescind what I say about people and their passions.
This is
Some
not-
of you are wrong.
This is not just one guy, by the way. This was a guy that happened to be on Craigslist. It is very common for people during an eclipse to want to during the eclipse.
And make moon children.
Common because of what the moon does to our bodies, or common because a person thinks that's a good idea?
It's a good
Is it like a
idea.
biological thing, or is it
No,
like
it's
I'm
not.
rock hard for
You're
darkness?
not. It's not. The moon being there is not releasing new chemicals in you. It's the people just they like the idea of the weird celestial happenings, and they're like, and like anything that's new in the world, you're like, can I it?
Yeah,
When
sure.
you're a primordial
Men.
human, and so a lot of people like are down to try and have a child during the eclipse.
To usher in, the coming of Satan.
This is not, exactly, because it wasn't always this way. There was, in ancient cultures, people were really certain that first of all, if you had sex during the eclipse, you were going to have, they did call them moon babies, but they thought that there was an ugly demon in their soul if you did it during the eclipse. And if a woman was pregnant during the eclipse and she touched her belly in a certain way, wherever she touched her stomach and the pressure that she put there would cause a giant birthmark in that same spot on the child.
Can't wait. Okay. He's going to have a big hand on his face.
Mom, why do I have this? I thought it was bullshit. I'm real sorry.
Yeah, it was a dare.
I was doing a whole study proving them wrong, but...
Here you are. Cool. So obviously we've come a long way where now everyone's like, I gotta have sex during this eclipse.
Yeah.
Craigslist.
But I have a feeling that as this passes, people are gonna be looking for an opportunity to just have sex with each other.
Okay, I mean...
Have any questions?
No, just like, feel bad if you're just waiting for an eclipse. Like, you can have sex other times.
I think maybe they can't. And I think this is it for them.
It's just the right lighting for me,
Yeah.
I feel like.
Are either of you going to be in a place, because we're in Southern California we don't get this.
Full
we just
eclipse,
get,
no.
Yeah.
I will be. I
Yeah.
will be in Oregon during it, not for the eclipse though.
To get the weed?
Yeah.
Bring a bunch of weed and
I'm
live
just gonna
like
go
a
there
king.
and sell it.
Yeah.
That's actually not a bad idea. I wish that I was not flying there.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea, unless it's a crime.
And it's not a bad idea. If I wasn't to say that's not a bad idea on camera. I'm going there for a wedding. This poor woman, she's a friend of mine. She just booked her wedding for August. And she lives, her family's from Oregon.
They're going to have a moon baby.
Yeah.
That's
And then
what
she finds
happens at
out later.
weddings.
Yeah, she finds out later that this eclipse is happening, and that the little town where she's doing her wedding, they're expecting like 500,000 people in this town, and it's like the size of the town will quadruple, and it's anybody who's coming to the wedding can't get like hotels or anything like that. And it's just a nightmare.
This also, I'm going to assume, because there's like a hippie vibe to this kind of thing. It's people who have saved up and have disposable income to go and see a moon thing with 500,000 other people and smoke as much weed as possible.
Yeah.
This is not going to be a group that respects the privacy of a wedding. That if there's any spillover, they're just going to be like, hey, it's all moons to me, you know?
Eating the cake and stuff. Yeah, I think there's a pretty good chance of that happening.
A lot of people just touching her stomach for no reason. Get off! Stop it!
Trying to do peace signs on it. It's going to be a real problem. I anticipate that I will get stuck in Oregon.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, you're not essential to the show, so if you get stuck there, you'll have one of the other people in the seat. I think that's the week in headlines. We have a main story, and we're going to get right into it right now. Disney has announced that they're going to be separating from Netflix and launching their own streaming on-demand service where you can get all of the Disney movies. They're one of the few studios that is like poised to do that. One of the few anythings, because they made half of the money that Hollywood made last year was Disney. So they can afford to
Do anything.
launch their own thing that might not pick up. It's a lot of people are bummed about it because it seems like every company thinks the ideal future is you pay $10 a month for Disney and you pay $10 a month for Netflix original stuff and $10 a month for Hulu and $10 for ABC. Like a future where we are buying each of the channels individually to watch the things that we want. And there's a huge chance that that's going to happen, and I really don't want it to. The Disney streaming thing doesn't take effect until 2019, and a lot of the stuff that is on Netflix currently will stay on there for a couple more years. But they're the first two things that are going to be available on Disney streaming on-demand service are Toy Story 4 and the Frozen sequel. So if you have kids and you think you're not buying
Or
Disney
you're
streaming
me.
thing,
You're
you're
getting
lying. You have to buy that thing.
Yeah.
There's no way. Your kids are gonna just like want those forever, and it's makes sense because it's in keeping with Disney's sort of insidious history of holding their movies ransom.
Yeah.
They
Lock them in the vault.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really,
Lock
like,
them in a vault.
Thank you for The Lion King, by the way.
Right.
I've been waiting so long for that.
way back
Jeez.
in the past when we were children, you'd have VHS tapes and you could like rent or buy. And Disney, first of all, didn't let people rent their movies. That was just not in their purview. You would only buy them, and they created an artificial scarcity because they would just say, all right, you can buy Bambi right now, and then after that, in the next couple of months, then it's going in the vault.
We're gonna shoot
And
the
then
mom
you
again.
and then you can't buy Bambi anymore. And then we'll do the same thing with Lion King. They did that where it was like a time of year where, oh, we can buy Aladdin now, so let's just like buy it right now because we might not get a chance.
And it was a big deal. I think it worked, and
Yeah.
I'm so
Yeah,
mad at them that
I
it
know.
worked because I can remember being at my local grocery store did a coloring competition that was a Peter Pan picture, and you'd get it at the grocery store, and then the kids would color it. They'd put it up on the walls, and then they'd pick a winner of like which kid colored the best. And I won a Peter Pan movie that they had been saving because it was in the vault, and like in small town Carbondale, that was a very big deal. Like that would show up in the newspaper.
Yeah, our grandma would get us whatever was the available Disney movie for Christmas every year, and it didn't even matter to us. It was just like Rescuers Down Under. That's kind of familiar.
It's not a naked lady in the wait, rewind that.
And now they're doing this streaming thing, and it's more like Disney is the only one that wants to make movies off.
Yeah.
Damn it!
There's a
She just
naked
made a
lady
great
in
joke,
that.
and I missed it.
Was there a naked lady in Rescuers?
Yeah.
As their fault, like they're going past some apartments or something like that. Yeah, you see a naked
For
woman.
just like a split second.
Yeah.
Please excuse me.
This is the first time he's gonna see a naked lady. What's this face when he walks back?
Real amped. Didn't even have to wait for the moon to do anything.
His cheeks are all red. Anyways.
Yeah, so so far when a company has tried to do its own streaming service, it has not gone well.
No.
I guess HBO Go is working out. HBO Now, they're fine, but like there are a bunch of streaming services that all launched around the same time, and all of them are kind of shuttering right now.
Yeah. CISO just announced that they're going to be
Yeah.
gone by the end of the year.
Yeah.
Which
There's-
they had a not great business model, and was not making any money for.
I thought they had a good business model. I mean,
shows.
I put my money behind them because they had the strategy that I thought was the right thing. Like we are close to this because we're just in digital streaming world, and we're pitching to a lot of these companies. What CISO did was, out the gate, we're going to have a huge library of content that is familiar to you. We have all of Saturday Night Live. We have all of Monty Python. We have The Office. We have Parks and Recreation. Like that's how Netflix started. Was like, hey, here are all these movies that you're probably familiar with. And then once you get there because of the library stuff, then CISO did the second smart thing, which is, and now we're going to fund original content with voices who are familiar to you. We're going to get Cameron Esposito.
Dan Harmon.
We're going to get Dan Harmon's
Yeah.
show and Paul F. Tompkins' show, and pick good content for your baseline and then invest in original content. I mean, that's Netflix is. We're going to do Netflix. We have all these movies and Arrested Development. You know Arrested Development? Well, now you got it. And House of Cards. We got Kevin Spacey. We got David Fincher. We've got a property that already exists somewhere, and we're remaking it. Like that's the right strategy. And for reasons that aren't clear, CISO just didn't take off. I mean, not reasons that aren't clear. I guess people don't want to pay subscription services for every piece of content.
Yeah, and the model was correct, but their execution of it, I know someone worked that was complaining about it to me.
In some
I'll
ways,
stop talking about
yeah,
it.
I don't know how I feel about individual, like a la carte services like that from things you respect, because you really are only going to watch a couple of shows from each thing that you subscribe to. But at the same time, cable packages suck too. Like cable packages are, you're getting 4 channels that you're pretty excited about, and then everything else is dog.
Yeah.
And so
MTV3.
we're already living with a pretty bad system. I don't know that this is any worse.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Someone could probably make a reasonable case to me that I'm paying whatever I'm paying for internet and cable, including HBO, every month, and I watch 4 channels on there.
Yep.
And I could probably spend less if I just do a bunch of individual things. But then I have more passwords to remember and I'm
or other people's passwords to remember.
Yep.
To log in.
And I'm already so old and frail.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if that's the next step, is having all these like individual streaming service is like next step, like these services deciding, oh man, people aren't buying this, so let's team up, give people a discount for doing both of us at the same time.
I mean, the next step is bundles of some kind. Whether that's going to, I think there's going to be some weird merger of website bundles and television channel bundles. Like for this amount of money, you get YouTube, Amazon streaming, cracked.com videos.
Plug. Subtle.
The other thing that I'm really curious about with all of this is that I don't actually know how Netflix works. Not just in how they gets things on my computer, but they don't have advertisers and they don't have profit at all. They just have investors. All they're doing is getting lots of investors and then putting that huge amount of money into, we have all the money in the world somehow. So Jerry Seinfeld, you're doing a comedy special with us. Dave Chappelle, you're giving us 2 stand-up specials. They just gave Coen Brothers money to make a 6-episode Western miniseries, and I can't wait for it. But there's the path to profit from there isn't clear.
No. It's just the sustainability is not clear. Yeah, like
they don't know either.
And Amazon has the same problems too. Amazon streaming, nobody knows how they're going to do this for long term, and so everybody's just trying to become too big to fail. Yeah, like trying to build out something so big that the people won't live without it, and at this point, it's only investor money.
Right, because they're not making it off of the $8 a month that I'm paying Netflix. That's not going.
Not even from the mail-in stuff. Like they're not. Yeah. It's not sustainable. But I think that's why I'm so worried about streaming services in general. Yeah. We live in a really great time of streaming services right at the beginning because nobody's quite figured it out yet, and it means that I can have my parents' cable password and get anything on Apple TV that I want. Right. Like, I can plug it into every single thing and watch anything without cable.
It's also the other bubble that's gonna burst eventually is the reason that all these internet service providers and like Time Warner Cable are so mad about everything is that Netflix gets to give you buddy prices and be like $7.99 and you get all this and then whatever else we come up with, all your favorite shows, all your favorite creators. And Time Warner is the guy who's like, we laid all that f***ing cable, like we're providing this high-speed internet for people and we're not getting a share of, like, people have internet because of Netflix. Like, they stopped paying for us for TV and now they're just paying $8 for the cables that we laid and like the work that we put in to maintain the internet. And when does Time Warner get a taste? When
I don't feel too bad for them.
Yeah,
I will never feel bad for Time Warner, but
Spectrum they're Spectrum. They should have seen the coming.
Yeah. I mean, have you seen your internet lately? It doesn't work.
Right. They have monopoly on this. And they were doing that really cryptic, awful thing where when Netflix first started, and they were warning Netflix like, give us some of your money, and Netflix was like, no, and they're like, all right, fine, nobody can see any of your stuff. And like specifically people when they were trying to watch Netflix, like their internet slowed. Yeah. And it's like, that's so diabolical.
I mean, is that diabolical? Because again, like Netflix gets to be cheap because they don't have to spend any money making their streaming service good. Like somebody else already spent that money and already did that.
But that's like anybody on YouTube who's got a channel that has millions of subscribers. Like they're taking advantage of the same thing. The internet's the internet. I understand that somebody did all the groundwork to lay that cable and everything, but that maybe shouldn't have even been a capitalistic pursuit from the beginning. Like the government owes us internet.
I mean, at this point, kind of. I mean, that's the debate now. Like, is the internet like a human right? Do you need it to be a human in this day and age to interact with other people and like?
Yes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Like I think you kind of have to. But I do. Yeah, it's kind of like putting someone else's train on like someone else's train tracks. Yeah. Just kind of bulldozing them. But I mean,
this was a
ghost train though. Like the trains can go through each other. I don't feel like that's a proper metaphor because we're not taking up that much space.
I don't know. Sometimes when I try to watch 3 videos at once, it's a little slow. I do that often.
This was a good chat, guys.
Yeah.
Do you have questions for us this week?
I do.
I'm so bad at these. Like they're really good questions, and that's the problem. I want to give them proper time.
We'll try to think about. We'll ask the question, and Maggie and I will try to front porch it for a while while you think.
When I held this up earlier, do you think people saw them upside down?
Yeah, I'm sure that spoiler will hit the internet.
Oh my God, you guys pause that this time. You see the questions. Okay, so the first one is, you might need some time to think about this. Pearson69 says, what is the best movie soundtrack and or movie score, in your opinion?
I'm not going to be able to answer that with just one. I obviously like Jurassic Park, the way that everybody does, because there's such...
Is that John Waters?
John Williams.
I mean, sorry, John Williams. John Waters is a...
It's quite a departure.
Yeah, he did Jurassic Park and then Pink Flamingo, right?
It's such a classic choice, but I like it because I think there's so much variety in it. Like there's really good scary music and there's really good majestic music, but also like the really subtle score going on when Hammond is talking to Ellie Sattler about the flea circus is really like beautiful, sweet music that is just like, I mean, John Williams is just always appropriate. He always has something new for everything, and it's just great. All the Star Wars stuff, the Han and Leia theme is perfect.
Yeah.
Last Crusade, I like that score a whole lot. These are more John Williams. Also Harry Potter. That was...
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. That was the first film score I heard that was like...
I feel like I could tell that that's John Williams because there are few composers that I feel, especially modern ones, that I feel like are doing like immediately hummable, themable things. And like I hear Harry Potter and like, that's the Harry Potter, that's now iconic.
Right.
That's like inextricably linked with this thing forever. And I haven't seen the movies, I can hum it, I know it, and that's how I know it's John Williams. And like, I can't hum a single Hans Zimmer song. And this was coming up on the Cracked Movie Club podcast that came out today because they're talking about this, like how he does with what he does with scores, a lot of just like punctuation to a scene or like weird noises. Like I think about Dunkirk, I'm like, oh man, his score of that clock repeatedly ticking really got me.
I think for me, and musical purists are going to be angry with my answer, but
Sunday Night Football theme.
Batman Forever. If you guys, I don't know if you're familiar with the soundtrack for this movie, but
I don't remember
they actually had artists make songs specifically for the movie. So it was at a time when like Offspring was at their height, and they did a song called "Smash It Up." "Kiss from a Rose" is on there from Seal.
That's right.
"Hold Me, Kill Me, Kiss Me," no, "Hold Me, Thrill Me, Kiss Me, Kill Me" by U2 is on there. Method Man did a song called "The Riddler" for it.
Okay.
Mazzy Star did a song for it.
Does this count as score, or is this music from and inspired by the motion picture Batman Forever?
Well, it says soundtrack. Oh, I guess soundtrack. And
I mean, no, that counts. That counts as
Okay.
soundtrack.
Yeah.
They sold those as
This
soundtrack.
is the soundtrack. Yeah. There are a bunch of other ones. Man, I wish I could look it up right now. They got like a bunch of artists to specifically do songs for this movie, and they're all great. Like it's a great soundtrack. Well, it's kind of a zeitgeist now, but at the time, it's a great soundtrack.
Yeah. The other two are like, Soren, I like when you go.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's a good one.
I'm waiting on Miami.
Yeah. This one also probably doesn't count, but Space Ghost Musical Barbecue.
What the is that?
I gave like 9 serious adult answers.
Okay, have you heard Space Ghost Musical Barbecue?
Obviously not. When I said what the is that?
It is so good. It's Space Ghost and Brock.
I think we have to start singing all of a sudden. It's just them singing songs that exist. It's them like doing the Big Chill, basically.
Well, they sing their own songs.
Oh, that's all their originals.
But I mean, like one of the songs that I remember, I don't know if it's this barbecue, but it certainly feels on brand for it. One of the original Brack songs that I remember is mashed potatoes, hey, sweet potatoes, mashed potatoes, potato chips. So like,
just to give you a taste of
and
an amuse-bouche of what is assuredly a terrible album.
It's so good, I love it.
So like, I'm keeping us back on target. Ghostbusters. The score of Ghostbusters is incredible. I always think it's Thomas Newman. It's
really
not
good.
Thomas Newman, and I always forget who it is. But
It's got the right dash of like sci-fi sounding, while also still being.
So
like
what went so wrong with Ghostbusters 2 then? Ghostbusters 2 has a terrible.
does it?
Yeah. Oh, it's bad. And
wonder
then
if
they
they
also
couldn't
did
get-
like they couldn't get Huey Lewis for a song, and so they just who was.
Ray Parker Jr.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, I see why you made the connection.
Yeah. So that's fine. I had an answer that time. I feel pretty good about this.
Good job.
Sticking with Batman Forever.
All right, so the next one, this one's kind of pointed at you, I think, Dan. GoCon said, what changes would you make to the movie Valerian to make it a success?
Chemistry between Cara Delevingne and Dane DeHaan, and also some kind of vague consistency with his character, because he doesn't have any.
Right.
He in the whole movie is this like bad boy Han Solo type. He's like running around and like he's always hitting on Kara, and it's not clear if they have a real relationship or not. He's just like, why don't you just marry me? And she's like, because you're a player and you're just adding women to your playbook. And he's like, no, come on.
Oh.
Hate the game, not the player.
Yeah.
He's like running around like doing his cool and his weird and like like classic
Loose cannon, doesn't play by
bad
the
boy
rules.
loose cannon. And then at the end of the movie, when their quest is to like give a universe to this race of people that humans accidentally all but eradicated, like we blew up their planet by mistake and then tried to cover it up. And now he has a chance to like give them the key to starting their planet again. And he's like, I'm just hang on to this and give it to, I mean, the courts will decide. There'll be a trial to see if you can have this. And Kara's like, no, there's corruption. Just give it to them. It's their key to survival. And he's like, and he literally says like, I'm a soldier. I play by the rules. That's who I am. That's what makes me what I am. And she's like, just don't. So he doesn't, and that's fine. But like his character was never clear, and they just don't connect. It's such a visually cool movie, and there's some set pieces that I've never seen before that can only come from Luc Besson. But if the movie hangs on these two lovebirds, it's really tough.
Yeah, and also she is not.
Be real careful.
Yeah. Ooh, we all saw her in Suicide Squad, right?
Yeah, she was great. The CGI parts of her weren't great. The parts that wasn't her, sure. I mean, blame computers.
All right.
Big Cara Delevingne fan.
I mean, I do really like her, and I think she's awesome, and I love her.
And she does a song that like the credits are playing at the end of the movie, and I hear a song that I really like, so I record it on my phone so I could look up later. It's her song. It's called I Feel Everything.
And she's a singer.
Yeah.
She does it all.
She does two things, kind of.
Two things. One of them not so great. And she sings. Cool. Do you have anything to add to that?
I have not seen Valeria.
Yeah, how would you fix Valeria?
Yeah, how'd you
Well,
fix
judging
Valeria?
by the quarter of the trailer that I've seen.
So Soren is a fairly new father, so he doesn't get to see as many movies as I do. So Soren, this question's for you. How would you fix Amazing Spider-Man?
Oh, I'm so excited to talk about this. I watch movies about 3 years after they come out now. As soon as they become free to me on one of my streaming services, that's when I watch them. And then I have no one to talk to about them, and it's a bummer. On a plane ride recently, I watched The Amazing Spider-Man, and was so pumped to talk to anybody about it, and no one is interested. It's like nobody wants to play at my party.
Literally the week after Spider-Man Homecoming came out.
Yeah,
So like,
Oh, wow.
I had so much Spider-Man juice that I just couldn't even share with you. Because like, no, I'm sorry, I don't.
Yeah, I had a lot of thoughts on The Amazing Spider-Man. I still think that they hold up, but nobody wants to hear that story.
That movie holds up to you?
No. My arguments hold up.
Oh,
as far
okay.
As
Because
I can make some really funny points about The Amazing Spider-Man. If I could travel through time, that's where I'd go.
to give your best. Did you see the part where he steals a milk jug from? Did you see all the product placement?
Yeah,
Did you catch
yeah.
it? Oh,
Yeah.
it's everywhere. All right.
Oscorp, everywhere.
Oh boy, howdy. He slows down my internet. Okay. Maddie Dan Brown said, if you could swap places with a fictional character, who would it be? I will go first. I've always wanted to be Robin Hood. I thought that would be the coolest.
Which one?
Just like the original
Fox Robin Hood?
Yeah.
Fox Robin.
Yeah.
Cartoon Fox Robin Hood?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
And it would be very attractive.
You would be him.
Why?
I don't know. I used to read.
I've always wanted to be Robin Hood. Don't know why.
Yeah, I really don't know. I think I like the idea of being like an outlaw, but a good guy also, because I want that ego boost of like giving back to the poor, while still being on like the wrong side of the law.
Well, the law is wrong. Yeah, when the law is wrong, you're the one who gets it, and
exactly.
is like you're so nimble that you can move around it.
Right. Yeah. I don't know.
Robin Hood's a good
cool
choice.
guy.
Probably Marco from the Animorphs series, K.A. Applegate's Animorphs. Marco's the one on the first cover of his book, turns into a gorilla. And it's kind of a bummer that his mom is Visser One, the leader of the invading bad aliens.
Yeah.
But I had to pick one Animorph, and Jake seems like kind of a dud, and Tobias gets stuck being a bird forever. So I picked Marco.
You guys be a bird forever?
Yeah.
Does your other
I don't
card say
remember that.
Animorphs?
Nope.
Just
But being an Animorph means they met with Axe, the Andalite, and they all got powers where they could turn into, like, you touch an animal, and then you could turn into that animal, and like be it for a while, and then you turn back to a human, or you get stuck being that animal. And that seems pretty chill.
That's pretty great.
Yeah.
Get to like be alone. Like I'm just gonna be bugs right now because I don't want to deal with anyone, and I'm just like snake my way out of there. And then you get to fly, and you get to climb, and you get to swim, and you don't even have to fight the aliens if you don't want to. You can just be a
passive
pretty chill
Animorph.
Yeah.
You know,
Danimorph.
Yeah. Oh. I have read every single one of those books, including the
Andalite Chronicles.
and I do not remember a thing. I do not remember.
I mean, I get
one
bits and pieces,
detail.
clearly.
Dan just read them.
Yeah, I know.
Somebody was like, he did it out of spite because somebody gave him Harry Potter, and he's like, this, I'm reading Animorphs again.
Have you seen this collection? This one's a butterfly. This one's a horse.
This guy has to be a bird forever. It's very sad.
They run into one problem because Cassie, I think. I don't know why I'm playing humble.
Yeah,
Cassie's
go for
allergic
it.
to crocodiles, so she like, when she merges with a crocodile, it, like up her body, and then like an actual crocodile jumps out of her, and she has to fight the crocodile.
Oh, dope.
So I would have to watch out for that, because who knows what animals I'm allergic to, because you shouldn't be able to be allergic to a crocodile, but Cassie pulled it off. So.
Yeah.
Do you remember the short-lived Animorphs TV series?
No.
Oh yeah, with Iceman from X-Men.
Yeah.
No, I don't remember it very well at all.
All right.
Wait, so that must have been recent then.
No.
No, this was.
This is middle
kid.
school, 90s.
Oh, and he was
Yeah.
really young.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was Jake.
I would
See what I mean
probably-
about him being a dud?
I think I'd probably choose Roz from Frasier. You know, I just want to be that close to greatness. No, I would. I think
Ross is a confident woman who takes what she wants.
She really does. Yeah. She's not afraid of what people think about her. Although, no, she is. She is. Constantly, she's worried that people think she's old.
She bought that football player at the Bachelor auction.
No, he's a. Oh, yeah, he was a football player. That's right. He played for the Seahawks. I think that I would choose. I mean, the first time I saw The Matrix, I was really bummed that I wasn't in that world, and like that I couldn't do that. And the idea that
Who'd you want to be? Tank, Dozer?
No, both those guys get toasted. I wanted to be Neo. So that's a really basic answer. Neo
So what
would
would
be
you-
one that I really liked.
What would you do with it? Because like I also picked a thing with powers, but specifically in a world that is not so under attack that I couldn't just like off and waste my great power.
Right.
Because I've never heard any kind of convincing warning about wasting great powers. I could just like exist in that world and do my thing until we're all dead. Neo, you're pretty locked into saving the world
Yeah.
a bunch of times,
And
right?
wearing that leather coat to your toes.
Yeah, it's not, and I'm talking specifically about the first movie. At that point, it's not totally, by the end of it, he's stopping bullets and things like that. It's not totally clear why he's the one or like what he's going to have to do. And there's a nice period of time where it's just him like, now I'm going to fly in the air by pushing off the ground real hard. And
Also, the scene I would add that would bother Morpheus is like, once I learned Kung Fu, and Morpheus is like, now we train. Well, no, hang on. Knitting. Now I'm good at knitting. Like, this is all, like, I always said if I had time, I would pick
all
up
these things.
canasta
Yeah.
and
Let me
Let me just like
Yeah.
become a well-rounded person first. I'd like to know French and baking.
right. Do you have the Infinite Jest anywhere? I'd like to finally
I do
read
not
that.
want to read that. I just want to put that right
to
in.
have it in
so I
me.
can talk about it at parties.
Yeah, the fact that, because anything where you could exist within your current world, but that you can change the rules of that world was always really enticing to me when I was a kid. And when that movie came out, I do remember being genuinely bummed that I wasn't part of that world.
I felt that way about Power Rangers, like
Yeah.
the weird disconnect that children have where you love this thing so much that I'm not really sure if I want to be in the show The Power Rangers or like live in the world The Power Rangers. I would. This is for an audience of no one. I would go in like our school bathroom, make sure there was no one there, and then just like my own voice doing doot, 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 doot. What's up, Zordon? And like, who's that for? I'm just alone in a bathroom
Well, you're playing pretend.
pretending I'm
Yeah.
pretending I'm talking to Zordon about like a Power Ranger mission that I have.
I was genuinely, I remember thinking, like, looking out a window and being like, I wish Pokemon were real. Just, like, imagining where I would find them, like, in my yard, and being like, okay, but if it were real, these are all the Pokemon that I would have, and I would be the best trainer.
Pokemon Go, a real game changer for you?
Oh my God, it was the best day of my life.
Here's a thing that I don't think anyone is following up on. You still playing Pokemon Go? Is anyone in the world still playing Pokemon Go?
People are definitely still playing Pokemon Go, according to all the Facebook groups that I'm a part of. They just actually introduced legendary Pokemon into the game. I do not have it because my phone is ancient. It doesn't have enough.
When you get a new phone, are you going to download Pokemon Go? You'll still play it. Okay. So there are still people, I guess, that are out there doing it. Just nobody's talking about it.
Yeah, it was the
in
hottest on the
circles.
planet for like 3 months.
It was a bright star that burned quickly.
People crowded on freeways and stuff. It was a real problem for a little bit. And of course, news anchors and everybody who don't understand technology were so scared. They were like, this is the end of us.
Yeah.
This Pokemon Go is like,
I mean,
kill us all.
I felt that way. I went to, this is going to make me seem like a much more like refined and old person than I am. I went to the Los Angeles County Museum of Art to consume some jazz in the summer because they get to have picnics and sit and watch jazz.
That's on brand.
And as I'm going through there, there's a bunch of youths in the tar pits with their phones like zombies.
Oh,
looking
no.
at stuff and like catching Pokemon.
Did you see me? Was it me?
Yes. You,
Okay,
you had your red Ash
I
Ketchum
almost got
hat.
stuck in the target. But it was worth it.
Fingerless gloves and a backpack.
Yeah. just all these kids wandering around like adjacent to each other but not really playing with each other and all doing the same thing. Was like, yeah, if I was a news anchor and I needed to fill 10 minutes, I would certainly like, they're getting high with it probably.
I could get people scared of this. Yeah.
Well, do we have any more questions, or is that we've talked quite a bit today?
Yeah.
This is a fun one.
This is a fun one. I don't know if anyone's gonna. There's no like skippable table of contents for this, so I don't know how many people we lose with that solid 17 minutes of Frasier up top. Because there are people who stuck with it to the end who heard me say in the beginning, we're going to talk about Star Wars, we're going to talk about Disney, and they're sitting there going, when are they going to get to the Star Wars factory? And we're not. We ran out of time, so we just didn't do it.
I didn't.
But anyway, I'm your host, Daniel O'Brien. You can find me at DOB_INC on Twitter. Maggie?
You can find me at Maggie Mayfish. I'll tweet about Star Wars.
Yeah, I'm Soren. You can find me at SOREN_LTD on Twitter.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching. Click the big C in the middle to subscribe if you haven't already. Click either the videos to my left to watch them. Click that dumb YouTube bell to turn on notifications that let you know when we have a new video. And tweet at us whatever you want with hashtag EPCD. It's my lifetime dream to get to be trending on Twitter.
Kill someone.